when we look at the traffic court, when you go into these small towns in America, these judges, they're not magistrates. They're sub-magistrates, so that means they're an administrative clerk for the actual entity, the facility, the court, whatever you want to call it. Now, here in New York, I have a situation in Dutchess County. So now when we go and see who supervises X county or said county, it comes out of the 9th District. Now, the 9th District holds real judges, real administrators and real clerks who have to oversee this. Now, these people understand the law, and they understand the UCC. They understand many different types of law. It's just not, let's say, law. I mean, they understand the canons. They understand admiralty. They understand criminal. They understand civil. They understand all these things. But at the end of the day, it's not a criminal or a civil action. Because if it was criminal, especially in the traffic court, there needs to be a viable witness to have these elements of a crime. And the state officer that pulls us over, the commercial officer, is bought and paid for by the state. The prosecutor, bought and paid for by the state. The administrators, the judges, whatever name or classification you want to give them, bought and paid for by the state. Now, the reason I talk about subrogation, let's get back to this, is if we all just go to a regular definition of subrogation, most people are going to say it's an insurance thing. But if we look at the first definition of subrogation, and I'll read it, it's the substitution of one person or group by another in respects of a debtor or insurance claim. Okay? So what this means to me is we can look at and give ourselves many different names. We can give ourselves straw man, citizen, private, sovereign. We can give ourselves any title we want, any rank, whatever we want to call it. But when it comes down to equity, because everything is equity, there's only two sides of this coin. You're either a debtor or you're a creditor, period. So when we're in traffic court, we are already sought as and assumed or subject to being a debtor, okay? So subrogation here, the substitution of one person. Now, when we're talking about law, a person, a legal person is a legal entity. It's not human, it's not organic, it's not breathing. It's a legal corporation or entity, whatever form you want to give it. So if we look at creditor and debtor, so we can look at the creditor as being a free, sovereign, free man, whatever term you want to give them, and we can look at the debtor as being a taxpayer or a person in debt or a citizen of the U.S. These are your differences in those classes. So what the courts are doing when they give you these municipal bonds, these bills of attainder, summonses, vouchers, whatever they want to call it, what they're doing is they're trading your creditor for your debtor so they have jurisdiction over you. So if you YouTube or you look at anyone who speaks of subrogation, if you can get yourself into a court and you can ask the court to verify that you're certified or you have the right to subrogation, that automatically makes your status back to a creditor versus being a debtor. That's why subrogation is a very big key in this, because at the end of the day, it's all about equity. It's all about them tapping into the Sister K through your Social Security or through these accounts that we are all bounded to, that are all adhesion contracts that we never signed. We basically have no real knowledge or anything of this. Like, we don't have joinder in these contracts, but yet we have to understand that they exist, and we have to accept that they exist, because I've done the process of revoking the Social Security, of doing all these things. And at the end of the day, we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to disband, revoke, argue something that we don't have, something that we never asked for. Because a privilege at the end of the day is a gift. And we don't need to accept it. But we also have to understand that by us not accepting it, we have to be educated in standing behind that, because this is a lifestyle. This is a principle. This is, you know, a way of life. And we either live this and help each other out, or we don't. I mean, that's just where I stand. You know, and I love the talk shoes, and, you know, I love that, you know, there's people trying to get a grip on this. But, you know, unless we all come together somehow and create an alliance stating, hey, you know what, we can create a common law court. It's very simple. We can get 25 of our peers, and we can have common law court anywhere in the world, in any jurisdiction. Because now we are a community. Once we become a community, we have nationality. We fit under different treaties, and we fit in a different status than being an individual, a minor, a child, or whatever legal term you want to give it. So to me, when we speak like of residence, you know, a residence to the normal person is your home. You know, your residence is located at this address in this territory or this town or city or whatever the case is, but nobody realizes that every time we accept our residence in a legal form, we're accepting a jurisdiction, a zip code, something that has to do with the state, with federal, with just them having jurisdiction over us. So me personally, when the word or the concept of residence comes up, I always express to them that I live in a storage unit. Everything I own is a storage unit. My house is a storage unit. My apartment is a storage unit. And they look at me kind of funny at first, but I explain it to them like this. I put my TV in it. I put my clothes in it. I put all my stuff in it. That means it's a storage unit. Every once in a while, I go and I put myself in it. A storage unit. So that right there gets rid of all your legally binding jurisdiction, so to speak, to the residence or where you reside. Because if you look up these in a legal dictionary, you'll have a clear understanding of what these words mean. And when they're spoken, you know how to have a rebuttal.